Hello, Johns, Janes, and Jessies. I'm Ben, and I love the Fantastic Four. I've grown up learning about and loving these characters for years, and now they are finally making their debut in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And honestly, it looks fantastic. But it has taken the MCU 17 years to finally get to Marvel's first family. And I can't wait any longer, so I came up with a pitch for the story for Fantastic Four First Steps. Before I continue, here's just a few disclaimers. I do not own any of these characters or stories. This pitch is not my attempt to say I'm better than Matt Shakman, the film's writers, or anyone at Marvel Studios. I wish the directors, writers, producers, and entire cast and crew of Fantastic Four First Steps all my support with their film. This is just one pitch made by a guy on the internet. Joy, I love you. Please enjoy. We start off with the origin story. Maybe we tell it with an
old TV format to match the retro setting. Use words like bebop and showbiz. We would explain how the Fantastic Four got their powers, and it became worldwide sensations.
Which would then bring us to the present. An action scene where the Fantastic Four respond to a giant monster attacking New York City. Just a good old-fashioned action scene of superheroes saving the day. But during all of this, I would establish a couple of things. Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, will refuse to delegate anything to the rest of his team, overstretching himself to take care of anything that might be dangerous. Some might think it's because he wants to take all the credit, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So here's a fun fact about Invisible Woman. When she first appeared in 1961, her only power was to turn invisible, nothing else. It wasn't until 3 years later that she was able to create invisible constructs like force fields or walls. Maybe during all this action with Giganto, Susan starts the battle only being able to turn invisible, but then discovers that she can create invisible constructs, which she practices and perfects over the course of the story. After the battle, some civilians get really upset. Their businesses and homes were damaged during the fight, especially by Johnny, also known as the Human Torch. It gets so bad that Johnny makes the hot-headed decision to quit the Fantastic Four in front of everyone. But the day is saved, and the Fantastic Four return to their home, the Baxter Building, to relax after a hard day's work. So one of my favorite things about the Fantastic Four is how they have this family vibe mixed in with the sci-fi adventure. They're superheroes, but they're also a family, with all the quirks and dysfunctionality that comes with being part of a family. Sue and Reed are the couple. Reed and Ben are best friends from college. Ben and Johnny act like siblings, and Johnny and Sue are siblings. So when you picture life in the Baxter Building, picture your favorite family sitcom, but throw in some superpowers and gadgets. Because that's always what I think of when I think of the Fantastic Four. We can watch Ben and Sue train in the gym as she tries to master her new power. Reed will lock himself in his lab inventing 100 different ways on how they could save the world. And elsewhere, Johnny is partying or flying around the city full of angst. We can also introduce the characters' flaws in the setting. More specifically, how each of them deal with failure. We've already seen what happens when Johnny is confronted with his shortcomings. He quits, flies off to avoid any more trouble. And like Johnny, Reed also has a hard time dealing with his own mistakes, especially since he's the reason they all got their powers in the first place. It's the reason he refuses to delegate and puts everything on himself. Susan doesn't let those same anxieties deter her. She pushes herself forward just like she's doing with her new power. And Ben, well, Ben is the rock that everyone needs in their life. And everything was as it should be. Until a Silver Surfer arrives on Earth with a message. Nay, a heralding. The space god known as Galactus, devourer of worlds, is coming to Earth to consume the planet. The Earth only has a short time to prepare for his arrival. She punctuates her warning with a beam into the sky in order to signal her master before vanishing into space. And understandably, the world goes nuts. All anyone can do is ask, how will the Fantastic Four save the world from Galactus? And all the Fantastic Four can do is ask, where the
Fantastic
is Reed Richards? But don't worry, Reed has a solution. Enter
the multiverse.
Turns out our Reed has been chatting with variants of himself across the multiverse, and he met Reed Richards of Earth 418916, who has already faced Galactus and has offered them his help. The plan is to travel to this other Earth in the Fantastic Car, which has been upgraded with Reed's latest invention, the Fantastic Four Flux Capacitor for multiverse travel. Or more simply, the Fantastic Capacitor. Once they make it to Earth 418916, the other Reed will help them stop Galactus before he even arrives. Piece of cake. So the FF arrive on this alternate Earth, when suddenly they're attacked. Turns out, this Reed Richards isn't what he seemed to be, and he steals the Fantastic Car and escapes into the multiverse. The FF managed to steal back the Fantastic Capacitor, but it goes missing in all the action. Our heroes, exhausted, find themselves stranded in a completely empty New York City. All they can find are remnants of whoever lived here. Empty cars, ruined buildings, and one phrase plastered on every wall, sign, and screen. Galactus is here. The Fantastic Four came to this world to find a way to stop Galactus, but it looks like this world already lost that fight. And if they don't get home, their world will lose too. So I know what you're probably thinking. Ben, why
The multiverse.
Don't you know the multiverse sucks now? Plus, doesn't that mean we'll miss out on all the 1960s retro-futurism stuff? First, this destroyed Earth can still have that retro-futuristic vibe to it. It'll just be post-apocalyptic now, kinda like the Fallout games. And second, I've always loved the Fantastic Four stories where they explore new worlds and locations. The Negative Zone, Adelan, Wakanda, running around and getting lost in a different world is kinda just a regular Tuesday for the FF. And since we're still in the multiverse saga, I feel like it would be a good starting point for the Fantastic Four. And lastly, I think an adaptation of the Galactus trilogy from the comics should be that. A trilogy. 3 movies that really explore the arrival and threat Galactus brings and not limiting him to just one movie. After all, we've been there, and I felt like having the multiverse be involved is a way to introduce Galactus without having to do it all in just one movie. The Fantastic Four split into 2 teams. Reed and Susan will make their way to the Baxter building to find a new Fantastic Car. Ben and Johnny will go look for the Fantastic Capacitor. Our first team arrives at the Baxter building, where the only entrance is the roof access into Reed's lab. And thanks to Sue, they have a way to get there. Sue creates a force field and carefully elevator lifts the 2 of them along the side of the building. Reed is absolutely fascinated. He prods her with questions and science stuff, while she's trying to maintain focus so they don't fall. She's concentrating, Reed is distracting her, so neither of them notice the Silver Surfer about to ambush them. Our second team tracked the missing Fantastic Capacitor to the sewers beneath New York City, which have become cavernous and deep. The 2 of them can bicker and mess around, maybe talk about Johnny's decision to quit the team, but they're interrupted when Giganto suddenly appears. Then another. The Silver Surfer chases our heroes through the city skyline before Reed speaks up and asks the surfer what she wants. She tells them that her master, Galactus, still hungers and this planet is too damaged to be consumed. Galactus will destroy her as punishment and replace her with a new herald to find a new planet to feed on. Reed explains that they're not from this Earth. They were stranded here with 2 others. They're just trying to get back home to their Earth. The Silver Surfer pauses before launching into the sky and firing another signal for Galactus. Reed and Sue look at each other and realize that the countdown for their escape plan just started. Meanwhile, underground, the fight with the Gigantos continues until Ben steps in and stops the fighting. Turns out, the Gigantos were protecting something. These smaller underground dwelling creatures called Moloids. The Moloids are grateful towards Ben and guide the 2 of them deeper into the caves to find the Fantastic Capacitor. Reed and Sue enter Evil Reed's lab. They find not a lot. All that's left is an old Fantastic Car, and it's in disrepair. Reed should be able to fix it though. Our dynamic duo find the Fantastic Capacitor in Subterranea, home to the Moloids and their master, Moleman. Moleman explains this world's backstory, how a lifetime ago, their world was threatened by Galactus. To save the Earth, a madman used a powerful alien weapon, the ultimate nullifier, to attack Galactus, but it was too powerful. and the planet was fatally wounded. Whatever was left of humanity was evacuated, and the dying Earth was left behind. Ben and Johnny explain their situation and how they need the Fantastic Capacitor to save their home from Galactus. Mole Man refuses. Ben tries to reason with him. There's a whole other world out there with a fighting chance against Galactus, but without the Fantastic Four, it's over for them. But Mole Man simply laughs. After all, it was Reed Richards who doomed the world, including his Fantastic Four. Suddenly, there's an earthquake. Mole Man starts to turn on his visitors, enraged at what trouble they've brought into his home. Johnny flies back to the surface to see what's going on, while Ben trails behind him. Back in the Baxter building, the earthquakes start to worry Susan as Reed hurries to repair the Fantastic Car. But that's when the Silver Surfer arrives. Reed and Sue are both defeated and learn about how this world's Reed Richards doomed the planet. But that's when Johnny arrives, sending fireballs toward the Surfer, but the Surfer's power cosmic trigger an explosion. Johnny manages to rescue Sue. The Surfer escapes, and Reed is nowhere to be seen. Just as Ben is about to exit the caves, he's stopped by a lone Moloid. Grateful for what Ben did, he offers him a gift. The Fantastic Capacitor. Ben thanks the little guy, and then rushes to the surface. Once he gets there, he sees smoke billowing from the Baxter building. He watches the Surfer glide across the sky toward her master. He is towering. He is angry. And he is here. Galactus. Ben searches the wreckage of the lab for anyone and finds Reed, injured and crestfallen after what he's learned. Ben helps Reed up and starts to search the lab for anything useful. After all those days Reed spent in his lab inventing ways to save the world, there's gotta be something here that'll get them home. But Reed tells Ben the truth. All that time he wasn't inventing anything to save the world. He was trying to find a cure. A cure for Ben. A cure for Johnny, a cure for Sue. It's his fault that they were changed after the space mission. It's his fault that they got their powers. That their lives were changed forever. Just like it's his fault that they're trapped on this Earth. It's even his fault that this Earth is destroyed. Reed Richards dooms everything he touches. And this is when we have the breakdown scene with all the Fantastic Four, where all hope seems lost. Ben may or may not forgive Reed for what happened during their origin story. That's honestly up to Ben to decide, but he knows that Reed can't keep doing this to himself. They've known each other since college, and the only reason they've managed to come so far is because they did it together. The four of them. Reed needs his family, and they need him. Ben hands Reed the Fantastic Capacitor, their last chance to get home. And the only way they're gonna do that is by doing it together. Meanwhile, Susan tells Johnny that she feels safer with her brother around. Whatever he chooses to do, she'll support him, but right now is not the time to quit. And shortly after, the Fantastic Four regroup, and they create a new plan. Alright, here's the plan. Reed is gonna repair the Fantastic Car and install the Fantastic Capacitor. Ben is gonna stick around and help Reed. Sue is gonna defend the lab from the Silver Surfer, and Johnny is gonna keep Galactus at bay. For the first bit, it seems like everything's going according to plan. That is until the Surfer swoops in and snags Johnny, pulling him into the sky. The job of distracting Galactus falls onto Susan. She tries her best to hold off Galactus, but no luck. He's unstoppable. Meanwhile, Johnny attempts to escape the Surfer's grip, but his consciousness starts to fade as they start to exit the atmosphere. The Surfer explains how she's to be destroyed, and how Johnny will be Galactus' new herald for the many Earths he will consume across the multiverse. Susan regroups at the lab as Galactus arrives on their doorstep. He reaches towards the lab, the Baxter building crumbling around his massive hand. Susan and Ben steel themselves as Reed continues to focus, but the hand suddenly stops. No, the hand is stopped. Everyone looks around confused, Galactus included, but it's revealed that Susan, through sheer determination, has projected a force field not just around them, but around an entire portion of the lab. Even as the building falls apart, she is managing to keep them in the air. Johnny's eyes roll to the back of his head as he remembers what his sister told him. Right now is not the time to quit. Galactus clenches his fist, and as it begins to fall, he suddenly... Galactus is down for the count. Reed activates the Fantastic Capacitor. They did it. They're home. But suddenly screams occur around them. They look up as their portal home is still open, and the hand of Galactus reaches through. The FF attempt to close the door to stop him from entering into their world. But suddenly, the hand pulls back. The FF don't know it, but back on Earth whatever numbers, Galactus is being swarmed by an army sent to distract him, led by the one, the only, the mighty, the Mo-Man. For the second time today, Reed has no idea what's going on or what just happened. Ben just smiles. He looks at his friend and tells him, "Someone is giving you a second chance." The world just got a preview of what's to come. Galactus is still on his way. But in this reality, the Fantastic Four will be prepared. More united than ever, Reed will work with his team, who in turn will work with the world, in finding ways to defend it against Galactus and ensuring the foundation of the future.
But will Mr. Fantastic cause the downfall of another world and succumb to his greatest fears? Find out next time on The Fantastic Four!
Hey everyone, thank you all so much for watching all the way to the end. If I had a say in what the rest of the Galactus film trilogy could look like, I'd have part 2 be about the FF finding the ultimate nullifier somewhere in space. Then part 3 would be about Galactus starting the process of devouring the Earth and the FF trying to stop him. I'd also add the Silver Surfer's redemption arc into part 2 and part 3. Maybe after Secret Wars, part 3 could feature more characters from the MCU, making Galactus an Avengers level threat. And whatever happened to Evil Reed, maybe he could reappear in a post-credit scene with Dr. Doom to set something up for Secret Wars. Maybe he becomes a villain like the Maker from the comics. Anyway, if you liked the video, please leave a comment, and if you would want to comment something, please like the video. I've got a ton of videos planned for the future. More Marvel, DC, video games, so make sure to come back, and I will see you later. Thanks, bye.